I'm trying to keep this video short so that way I don't ramble too much, because the first trimester recap was really, really long. So I'm just trying to keep this brief and keep it going. Hello and welcome to the vlog. Today I am outside on my patio and I am going to be doing my second trimester recap. So basically this is the trimester where everything happened. I am currently 30 weeks pregnant and some change. So my second trimester officially ended at 28 weeks and it's been a journey. So first we're going to go over some big highlights of the second trimester. So the first one was the anatomy scan. Basically I was 18 weeks and 6 days when I went to the doctor for a sonogram, and the anatomy scan is just that. They measure everything, including my cervix, the baby's brain, the baby's heart, the baby's lungs. And I am by nature a very impatient person, and the ultrasound tech said, "Do you know the gender of your baby?" To which I replied, "I will when you tell me." And that's when we found out we're having a little girl. So I'm super excited about that. I wanted a girl. I mean, more than anything, I wanted a healthy baby, but I also wanted a girl because dresses and bows are really cute. The second biggest highlight were baby kicks. So a lot of pregnant women say that baby kicks just feel like flutters in your belly. For me, they felt more like eyelid twitches, except in my abdomen, and I didn't start feeling them until about 20 weeks. And once I figured out that they were kicks, even though they weren't flutters, I was super excited about that. And now the kicks are much bigger, and it's gotten to the point where you can see whatever limbs that she's using like pop out of my belly. There are times when my whole belly just jolts to one side or the other just because she's moving so hard. And it's been really cool. It kind of feels like there's a little bit of payoff because finally this human being that I'm growing, I can visibly see it. Speaking of my belly, the second trimester is when my belly finally popped. So here's a picture of me at 20 weeks. And now here's a picture of me at 26 weeks. So a lot of growth happened both literally and figuratively. And I'm not a very big person by nature, so I'm about 5'2". I weighed 115 pounds until Nicholas and I started dating. Then I was between like the 125, 130 range. And so for a long time, I really didn't look pregnant. And it was kind of at that weird stage where I was looking like I either had a beer belly or a baby belly, and no one could really tell until the second trimester, because that's when my belly decided to pop out. And it's also like one of those weird things where my body's just changing so rapidly, and I know I'm pregnant, but it doesn't feel real until you can see that you're pregnant. So that was one thing that was also a really big highlight. I got bigger. The second trimester was really, really easy. As a lot of pregnant women will say, it's probably the easiest out of all of them. And by far it was. So I wasn't as fatigued anymore. The food aversion was finally gone. I could finally eat again. And I just felt really good. But I will talk about some symptoms of the second trimester. So the first one that I had was an abdominal pain on my right side. So I actually went in for a different ultrasound in my upper right quadrant, because anytime like I stopped moving, like either after work or when I was going to bed, there would be like this really there'd be like this pain, like a really annoying kind of pain, like right here, and it was always right here. So they thought it was my gallbladder. They did the ultrasound. It ended up being nothing. I kind of talked about having this pain in one of my other videos. It turned out that a lot of like your abdominal like organs, like your stomach and your intestines, are very like squishy and malleable, but your liver is not. And so when you're making room for the baby, your liver moves upward, and if it's having a tough time moving upward, it'll cause some pain in there. So I had that, and it's uncomfortable, but it's bearable. Another thing I experienced is back and hip pain. So when you're pregnant, you have to sleep on your side. I was a side sleeper anyway, but I think just the extra like pressure from me gaining so much weight at a time, plus just like being pregnant, put a lot of pressure on my back, and then like even on my hips, to where I woke up in the morning and I'm like, ugh. But then it went away like when I got up and started to get ready for the morning, and by the time I got to work and I started walking around, I felt just fine. So that is still something I'm dealing with and still something that's uncomfortable, but it isn't unbearable. Is that the theme for this video? Uncomfortable but not unbearable. I said one time in another video that being pregnant is just a constant state of being uncomfortable in one way or another. And last but not least, one of the symptoms of pregnancy that I've experienced this trimester is depression. I'm not going to go into this too much. I had a history of depression before pregnancy, and it's been something I've been working on for years, and I've done a lot of behavioral things to make it manageable, but all the pregnancy hormones and just the stress of being a first-time new parent just kind of throws all that stuff out the window. And it's still something that I'm working on, and it's still something that I'm dealing with, but we're getting through it. And so now everyone's favorite thing to talk about for pregnancy is cravings. So what were my second trimester cravings? So the first trimester, I didn't really want to eat anything. I hated chocolate. All I wanted was steamed vegetables and minestrone soup. This trimester, I really wanted cereal, like Honey Nut Cheerios and Honey Bunches of Oats. I could eat that all day long. I had it for breakfast, I had it for dinner, and it was a giant bowl of cereal. I loved cereal. So this is the bag of cereal that we buy for me now. And how many ounces is this? This is 36 ounces of cereal. And I could go through this in a whole week. Just a week. Because I would eat cereal for breakfast and cereal for dinner. And one time we didn't have any clean bowls. So I just ate cereal out of a mixing bowl, like a ceramic mixing bowl that I got for my wedding. And that was the best day of my life, because I had finally gotten the amount of cereal that I wanted. If I have milk left over, I'll pour more cereal in and I'll eat that. It's disgusting, but that was what I really wanted. The second one was actually Wendy's chocolate Frosties. It wasn't just chocolate ice cream, because if I had like chocolate ice cream that you like scoop out of a pint, or just like regular like chocolate soft serve from like Dairy Queen, it wasn't that. It had to be like that like texture of a Frosty, where it was just like a little more liquidy, a little more icy. Ugh. And I've slowed down on the ice cream since, per needed for my nutritional value. Also, in the second trimester, you take your glucose screening test, which tests you for gestational diabetes. I'll talk about that a little bit later. But after I figured out I had to take a blood test for my sugar, I was like, maybe I should stop eating as much sugar as I am. So some odds and ends of the second trimester were I went on a plane 2 times, once to Colorado when I was 16 weeks, and once to Oregon when I was 24 weeks. And I will say that it is much easier flying when you are smaller. And like, I'm not even like that big yet. It's just, you feel big when you're pregnant. And so when you're on a plane and you're squished, and I'm always in the middle seat because Nicholas has broader shoulders than me. So I either put him in the window or the aisle, so I'm in the middle. And 16 weeks, it was perfectly fine. It was great. 24 weeks, I felt huge. And it was not comfortable. I would not fly past 24 weeks, but that's just me. Maybe if you give yourself the window or the aisle, you'll feel much better than I did, but that was my experience with it. And as I talked about earlier, the second trimester is also when I had my glucose screening. So basically what that is you go in and you drink a really sugary drink. It just tasted like a Sprite that was sitting out overnight, and so you drink that within 5 minutes. Honestly, I kind of liked it because I'm disgusting, and I drank mine in about 3. And then you wait a whole hour in the waiting room, you go in, they take your blood, and then you leave. And so mine was really simple. I went into the lab right when they opened, so there was no line. I read my book for an hour, and then I took my blood, and that was that. After about a week, I used my online portal that is available to me through my doctor's office, and my number was a 90. I don't remember if it's decimilliliters or something, but you have to have like a number that is beneath 130 to 140 depending on your doctor's office. And I don't have the healthiest diet, I will admit that. I really like sugar, I really like fast food. Obviously I've been toning back on that since growing a baby. I was worried that I was not going to pass and that I was going to have gestational diabetes, but I do not, because I got a 90. Other odds and ends, I worked about 35 to 40 hours a week this trimester, but since my energy levels were up and I was able to eat again, it really wasn't that hard. I'm a waitress at a restaurant, so I guess that could be seen as like more strenuous, but it also helps that I'm 22 and I'm younger and more spry, and my coworkers help me out a lot. So it really wasn't that hard to get through. And this trimester has been like really easy breezy, beautiful cover girl. Thank you guys so much for watching this little update. If you have any questions for me about my pregnancy and specifics, because I can't speak for any other women, leave a comment down below. I will happily answer, and thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.